So I've lost you.
I do.
Are we live? We're live. Caught me unawares. Apologies. Good afternoon, everyone. It's the afternoon. It's slight change to our schedule this week, and maybe for the future we'll see. And Sadie's gonna. Hi, Sadie. By the way, Sadie's here. I'm here, Steve Anderson, and Sadie's going to talk a little bit about. We're sort of revamping our schedule and looking to do more in terms of raising awareness and understanding of the whole question of age diversity. So Sadie talk about that in a minute. I'll just do our usual intro. He says, you know, this is really poor, isn't it? It's so unprofessional. I apologise, everyone. It's Friday afternoon. It's informal. It's a chat. We want people to interact. But this live stream, which hopefully is also now being aired on LinkedIn. If anyone finds this on LinkedIn, please let us know that you found it and you're watching, because I think, as of last week mentioned, the good fellows of LinkedIn graciously have let us live stream across LinkedIn. I think it's via my profile. So if you go and find it via that'd be great. So each week we're here for 30 minutes to talk about everything age diversity and to pick up on some things with some topical things that we're seeing in the press, some things we're hearing from our champion partners that we work with, or anecdotal stories that we're hearing, and looking to respond to questions and engagement with our friends out there. So welcome if you're here live. I'm not sure anyone is right now, and we may have stumped some people moving it from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But this is the whole picture of our media transmissions is something that we're looking to better. So just with that, Sadie, do you want to just talk about a little bit about what we're doing and when we're doing it? And
Absolutely, excellent segue. Got my list. Let me get my list. Here we go. The schedule, Team Age Diversity Forum. So we're thinking on Mondays. Live stream went out this Monday. We're thinking of continuing that, so it'll be smaller chunks of this live stream reposted, so they're more digestible for all of you to watch. So there'll only be no more than 5 minutes. On Tuesdays we're thinking of releasing the What Can You Do series. So we've already done, I think, 3 episodes of that. So I think we'll just keep that going. Do some more. Wednesdays workshop. Change that. Fridays we'll see what we're do. And then on Sundays there will be potentially another piece of content coming out. Potentially a survey will go out. So we'll survey that use the audience and answer that and give us feedback on the survey. And then more documents.
yeah, I mean, excellent. It's a real step up from what we've been doing to date, and it's all part of the Making a Noise campaign that we're running throughout this year. Hashtag Making a Noise, please use it. It's all about amplifying the message of age diversity. You know, a common theme and thread across the whole inclusion agenda is that the age part of that agenda does not get the attention that it absolutely deserves and needs. And once again, you know, this week we're seeing information and data from organizations such as in the US, a manufacturing organization. So if like a governing body for many manufacturers across the US are talking about the adverse impact of organizations, of companies not paying attention to the age diversity agenda, and it comes across in various ways, and how they report on that is really it really just echoes many of the things that we see on a weekly, daily basis almost, and as part of our engagement program with organisations, these are elements that we absolutely give support and help, both in terms of governance, but also practical support in ensuring that organisations not just have awareness, but can implement levels of strategy and good practice. So they benefit from that consideration for age diversity. And just to repeat, in many countries, it is as wrong, as unjust, as illegal to discriminate against age as it is for other protected characteristics, such as gender and disability, LGBT, ethnicity. Many of the threads, the inclusion threads that commonly, are higher up the agenda. But this particular article is actually quite stark in terms of it was a response to a study, and we'll take the information and repurpose this because it's really important that the vast majority of the companies surveyed in this study indicated that they were very concerned about their workforce in terms of when they began to think about it, recognizing that they had quite a few older people in the workforce, and that actually, as and when those people retire, or quite often organizations make really poor decisions and let older people go before others, that they're really concerned that they're going to lose many of the skills and the knowledge that they have to actually run the organization, run the companies and be successful in those companies. They're going to lose it. And what's more concerning, as they begin to realize that factor, is that they've actually got no plans or programs in place to actually ensure that knowledge and that experience, that skills is transferred before those people leave. So it's a double whammy, and an almost like a cliff edge type situation where, say, majority of I think it's around 80% of the organisation surveyed commented on how concerned they were about losing the skills, but actually then thinking, well, we've got nothing in place to maintain those skills. And there was a couple of wider statistics that, again, we could show and align this to other geographies and countries in terms of, in the US, as of 3 years ago, actually, 25% of the manufacturing workforce was 55 or older. So that's already moved on. And by the end of this decade, 1 in 5 Americans will be over 65. So, a real shift of that age group, and a real risk of loss of skills and experience. And probably the standout, whilst that's all staggering in itself in terms of these are big numbers, in terms of the number of organizations that have only just sort of woken up to the potential adverse impact of not thinking about age diversity, and the change in population. There's a hard economic cash figure that this study has calculated that lack of attention to age diversity is estimated to cost large businesses, and there's a bit of a caveat there because it doesn't actually define the criteria for large business, but this is a big number. The estimated cost to large businesses is going to be around $47 million a year by not considering it. 47 million. That's huge.
Well,
Sorry, Sadie, are you coming in there?
oh no, I was just going to say that's a very large number.
So I had some strange sounds coming out of there. But yeah, so this one report, and this was just released yesterday, 15th. And we're certainly going to be, reaching out to these guys because, there's some, cold, hard facts in terms of, the detail of the responsible organisations and some estimates of, cold, hard hits to sustainability and profitability of an organisation. So it then goes on to sort of outline sort of some of the areas of consideration. And again, Sadie, we talk about this stuff every week. Awareness, about raising awareness. This whole series of live streams and everything that you just outlined in our new proposed schedule is about raising awareness. It's about showcasing the challenge, but also the opportunity that a consideration for age diversity provides. This article focuses on older people, and we've said before that we're an organisation that has a multi-generational outlook, but we recognise the challenges and issues and bias and discrimination that happens across all age groups. So yes, we absolutely recognise challenges for older people. But actually, conversely, if you think about this situation that this manufacturing industry has recognised that there are some key skills and experience in this age group, if that transfer of knowledge is not passed on, and by the very nature of the conversation, to younger people, then those younger people potentially won't be able to learn those skills and put those skills into practice. So you end up creating a vacuum of skills that actually the younger people within such an industry don't even get the opportunity to learn these new skills and these new that enables them to continue developing their careers. So this particular focus on older workers absolutely has a ripple effect and impact on the rest of the employee group. So awareness is absolutely key. And Champion Age Diversity, our program for engagement, absolutely, let me be really, if we have more organisations wearing this badge means organisations are meeting certain criteria, they're introducing certain policies, certain governance, certain values into the organisation. It's an immediate signal to everyone in the organisation that they are being thought about and valued. Whatever your age, the organisation is championing, and it champions through awareness. It goes on to talk about knowledge transfer, and again, it's about how to actually put that into practice. And part of that program that I've just talked about, the Champion Age Diversity program, is absolutely about encouraging the cross conversation across all groups, and mentoring and reverse mentoring and specific programs and projects, and retain and maximise. And I'm just going through this study. I think this is one of the early what can we do series, Sadie, about recruitment, retraining and retention. I think we've covered the recruitment part so far in that what can we do to stop ageism. So maybe we'll focus on the next two in the next couple. But again, in this study that is it's good in a way because there's some data behind this that absolutely confirms what we are, what as an organisation, what we're presenting and what we're about. So it's about, organisations not just being aware, but then retaining those skills, transferring those skills, maximising the opportunities. And actually from that whole situation, you begin to get innovation for services, for product design. It talks about recruitment, there we go. So ensuring that when, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately organisations still make poor decisions, even though they might recognise certain situations where they're going to become unstuck by removing certain parts of their workforce. They then find themselves, well, where have those skills gone? And there's lots of underlying factors here about retaining staff, and when tough decisions have to be made, making sure the choices are the right ones for the organisations. Sometimes those choices can be swayed by policymakers, and when I mention policymakers, I'm really talking about government here. So government conditions, incentives. Particularly in the UK, there's been, I'd say, over the last generation, the last sort of 10 to 20 years, there's been lots of focus towards education to younger people, to keep younger people in education, to give them support. They came out with an acronym, was it NEAT, No Educational Employment and Training, something like that. So vulnerable people that have been sort of lost to the educational system, let's throw some support weight behind it. And a way of doing that is incentivizing businesses to employ them. So whether that's via apprenticeships, that's a big thing. It was a big thing, I think, sort of post-war in terms of regenerating the economy and industry. It sort of died away a bit, I think, sort of 70s to 90s, 70s maybe to 2000. I think it wasn't such a thing, but now I think it's quite prominent. Sadie, would you recognise apprenticeships as a prominent opportunity that's provided for people leaving school and academia?
Obviously, I can't speak before the 2000s. I can't speak before then.
No, I know, but
after then, particularly, every educational stopper being in secondary school, college, they're always pushing us to try out apprenticeships. They're always teaching us what they are, how they can help us. We're giving a lot of options on where we can go. It's not just get a job anymore. We can do apprenticeships, you can do part-time work, still be at college. There's lots of opportunities given to young people and more vulnerable people. Yeah,
and I think with that type of focus, the governments, including, and I'm talking about the UK in particular here, but other governments will do it the same as well, actually put some funding behind that, whether that's funding the academic environment like colleges to participate in connecting students into the workplace. And obviously there's something in there for the college, isn't there? Because they get funding to supply normally I think it's like a day release type thing. So an individual will work at a company for 4 days, and 1 day a week they'll continue their education and training in a subject or subjects that obviously can be applied within that workplace. So it's a win-win in that situation. But government are funding much of that and incentivizing organizations to look to that younger end of the market to employ people. Whereas for other age groups, and I would say that predominantly, again, I'm talking from the UK, and it'd be nice to hear from other parts of the world if this is different where you are. It predominantly refers to 18 to 24-year-olds. We said this before, within the age discussion, we love to put people into categories. And the 18 to 24 thing is very much something that I think was born out of these government incentives, where they went to all companies and said, look, if you employ someone from 18 to 24, so basically someone who's leaving college or maybe and it hasn't chosen like a university or degree education route, let's help those people into work, but let's incentivize, organize, let companies by paying some money towards or fully paying for the apprenticeships, or giving them some other sort of opportunity to recover funds, whether that's national insurance recovery or other types of tax incentives. And within the last year, within the COVID thing, again in the UK, they produced another program called the Kickstarter program. If you're in the UK, you've probably heard about this. Again, this is an absolutely incentivized program towards companies to employ younger people for apprenticeships, on apprenticeships. So the whole chunk of money. What we haven't seen is that same type of thinking from policymakers, from government, about other age groups, in terms of, you know, what is there to incentivize an organisation to employ a 55 plus person or an over 50 person. There isn't that same type of incentive. One incentive absolutely is, and as is demonstrated in this article, you know, by the American manufacturing industries, is people of that age group have a particular background and experience and skills and expertise that they can bring to an organisation. So it's just part of this multi-generational view that if you consider everyone, whatever their age, then not only are you at least mitigating, but, you know, removing the age bias opportunity or challenge, you're also bringing everyone from other protected characteristics into that discussion as well. So via the age lens, and we've said this many times before, but let's say it again, completely multi-generational and intersectional view of the inclusion agenda can be achieved. So you get all the benefits and values of the skills and experience and knowledge from people of all age groups and what they all bring, but you can also look to ensure that you have an inclusive workforce that, depending on what protected characteristic group an individual might fall into, because of the age agenda, it brings everyone to a level playing field. So I think I say this most weeks as well. We're going to say similar things, you know, many times, because many of these things need to be said, but also like this study that came out yesterday, it's saying things we already know. And this, I guess, from an organisation perspective, this is quite frustrating, because, and it means, you know, it just means we've got a lot of work to do, and it means we need to do more. And hence, again, why Sadie was outlining a revision to our revised schedule that we started this year. You know, we're really, I think, up in the game in terms of raising awareness, but giving information. That what we can do, series, is really quite it's quite bold, isn't it, Sadie? It's quite, you know, and to the point.
Not watch it. What can we do to stop ageism? You have to. It's a video you have to watch. You can't scroll past something like that. Yeah,
exactly. And I hope people see when they do come to view that is we don't sort of beat around the bush. It's what can you do? Do this. Think about this. Implement that. You know. So it's quite an important part of our series, I think, in terms of quite important part of our content that we release. Because, yeah, as you say, so how can you scroll past? What can we do to stop ageism?
It's not an option. You see it. You know,
maybe we need to have some sort of technology that if someone does, there's a, you know, we impose a fine on them, like the Monopoly.
It should just automatically pop up. You got, like, you see it and you get stuck there until the video's finished. That's how it works, definitely.
But yeah, seriously though, we hope that it's you know, the title is bold enough to, you know, stop people in their tracks and think, wow, you know, this ism is really important. This ism does get largely overlooked, and but how valuable an attention to this ism, that is age, that can be. So yes, please follow Sadie's schedule. Do not go past these things, and we're going to be. Sadie's described a sort of a regular output on regular days, and a lot of that is visual as well, in terms of video type content. So we're trying to make it as consumable and digestible as possible. In this half hour is quite a long session by comparison. I think some of the other stuff that Sadie's talking about is pretty small chunks. Like the Wednesday snapshot is exactly that, isn't it?
Yeah, 30 seconds. That's all it takes. And then you get to stay up to date with what's going on this week with the Age Diversity Forum.
So a strong message, but some signposting to some other stuff that we're doing. So again, an invaluable part of everyone's week should be to dial in on a Wednesday and capture that.
Absolutely.
I think, is it around midday that these things get sort of...
About between like 10 and 12 is when it usually gets put out. So
but just on the content, just to say that we are hopefully very soon, in the next within the next month for sure, we're adding resource to our organisation to really focus on data research, not just stuff that we're originating. And again, hopefully we've got some really exciting stuff to announce in the next few weeks about that, but to really try and capture this global view of age diversity, things like this study from the US manufacturing industry, and to help amplify their message. They haven't done this study for the hell of it. It's got some really important information. Let's help promote and share that. So I guess I would say, and invite, as I know we do every week as well, for people to reach out to us, to contact us, probably by email is our best way. Thank you, Sadie. Brilliant. In terms of, are there things that you're doing as an individual or as an organisation that can add to that whole pot of information and data? Is there something that you have? For example, this week, I'm sure everyone might be mentioning, because it's sort of plugging it as well, we've been approached by Sky to participate in I'm not sure what it looks like in the end, but some sort of discussion, let's call it that, because people within the Sky organisation have said, why aren't we thinking about age diversity, which I think is really interesting. So hopefully we're going to be doing something with them. So other organisations, if age is not part of your agenda, if you're finding yourself as maybe one of those 80% who responded to that study where you're concerned about the age of your workforce, that there's skills and experience and values there that you absolutely want to retain, and you want to know how to do that, you want to know how to transition and transfer that information, that knowledge, again, speak with us. We can, through our Champion Age Diversity Programme, this is sort of stuff we do on a day-to-day basis. So, we welcome that contact. And I guess to our final mantra, I don't know whether I've lost you, Sadie. You seem to have gone still and quiet, but join us on the journey. Excellent. Still there in the background, even though you've frozen on screen. This is our absolute mantra for the Making a Noise campaign. Join us on a journey. Let's really amplify the message for age diversity. Let's, call out bias. Let's call out discrimination. Let's bash down barriers. And let's really raise awareness and seize those opportunities. On that note, thank you very much for everyone for watching, listening, either live now or afterwards. Hopefully, again, you'll see this definitely on YouTube, because we know it's there. but maybe on LinkedIn as well. And we should review that, just make sure it is there, Sadie, as well. So without further ado, we'll see you again next week.